My cheating wife lived a double life with her affair partner until I found out and exposed them both. Cheaters often leave their search history unattended. Monkey branching, or moving from one relationship to another, is considered cheating. This happened to me about months ago, just before our wedding. She got cold feet, and we almost called off the wedding. She expressed uncertainty about marriage without providing a clear reason. We talked a lot, and I gave her space. She stayed with her parents for a few days. Days after a week or two of hesitation, we had a conversation, and she confirmed that she wanted to be together. We got married in the summer of 2021. A few months later, she started a new job and became interested in a guy she found funny. She shared many stories about him, and I started feeling uneasy. I met this guy once after work, and he gave off a bad vibe. A couple of weeks later, while I was working late, she was out with coworkers and stayed out longer than expected. We shared our locations on her phone. I got nervous when she didn't respond to my texts, so I checked her location, and she was at McDonald's for almost an hour. When she finally returned to my place, she sat outside for about half an hour. I took my dog out, and it turned out the guy drove her home. They were sitting in my driveway chatting. I approached them, and she got out of the car. He tried to shake my hand. When she came in, I told her that was totally unacceptable, and I didn't want them spending one-on-one time like that. She seemed remorseful, saying she overstepped a line and didn't mean anything by it. I believed her because, prior to that, I had no reason to suspect any infidelity. A week or two later, toward the end of April, she went on a weekend trip to Colorado with friends who had moved there. When she came back, she was distant. I tried talking to her, but she went to bed early. 3 days later, on my second-to-last day at a difficult job, we went out for drinks after my shift, and I invited her. She came dressed in sweatpants, looking sloppy, acting quiet, not her usual bubbly self, and frankly, a bit rude. At the end of the night, when we got home, I asked her what was wrong. It was like pulling teeth. She finally said she didn't want to be together. I asked why, and she didn't really know. She didn't think we were a good fit. I kept asking her many questions. Is she a lesbian? Is there another guy? She said she didn't know what she wanted in life and couldn't imagine having kids with me if she wasn't certain. I stayed up all night trying to talk to her. She just fell asleep. The next morning, she left. Her Google account was logged in on my computer, and I found searches like "ended my marriage for another man." She searched for their astrological sign compatibility and song lyrics about the guy on Google. In the past month, she came to get her stuff while I was at work, leaving only a Christmas mug that said joy. When we moved into our apartment, we found a sticky note on the wall that said, "Yikes." We kept it up because it was a dingy apartment and we thought it was funny. She thought it would be funny. Perhaps her affair partner found it amusing to leave the joy mug on my counter with the "Yikes" sticker. I texted her to ask what that was about, and she simply said she thought it would be funny. The divorce was quick and easy as it was uncontested due to our lack of children. She wasn't interested in keeping our dog, leaving me the apartment and most of my belongings. In that aspect, she showed mercy. During this process, I asked if she believed I wouldn't find out about her cheating. She denied cheating, and in response, I thanked her for leaving. I didn't know what kind of person she was, and I wouldn't want to be married to someone who behaves like she does, someone who disrespects marriages, frequents strip clubs, and abandons their spouse. This is my first time sharing my story here. Since August, we've had no contact, and honestly, I don't think she cares. I'm slowly reaching a point where I don't care either. It took me a long time to move past the shock. My New Year's resolution is to leave her in the past, stop dwelling on her, and focus entirely on myself. Easier said than done. Since then, I've lost 20 lbs, hit the gym several times a week, and seen muscle gains. I joined a Bible study and attend church weekly. I traveled to Colorado with my brother and have now booked a trip to Europe. I had 6 weddings to attend this year, including my sister's. These were challenging given what happened, but I attended all of them. My new job has been great. I've had many dates, but I haven't found anyone I feel compatible with yet. I'm scared I won't find that person. Part of me is relieved she left. I'm not sure I would have had the strength to leave without knowing she was pursuing something else. If she was disrespectful enough to seek another relationship, she wasn't worth my time or effort. Update: today is a significant day for all of us. Usually, I don't care much about New Year's, but after a tough year, we all deserve to feel excited about a new hope on the horizon. I hope that 2023 brings peace, healing, and happiness to everyone. My wish is that we all find strength within ourselves to move forward with curiosity and creativity, exploring new paths in our lives. On weak days, let's practice perseverance and self-forgiveness. On strong days, let's embrace elation and joy. May we have the courage to venture into uncharted territories and the peace to confront our demons. Let's find the power to overcome them and spread love in every place and every face. I hope for authenticity, not only in those around us, but genuine authenticity to rediscover and showcase who we truly are. May 2023 be filled with adventure and growth. Let's climb out of this dreaded abyss and discover not only our true selves, but who we were meant to be. Leave the traitors in 2022. Those who are cowardly, inauthentic, and selfish can stay behind. Find gratitude for everything we have, even the lessons learned from betrayal. Lastly, leave behind the shackles in 2022. Delete remaining pictures and texts. Abandon the need for revenge, checking on people. Externalize closure, anger, and sadness. Let's try to let go, surrender to the present, and embrace our destiny. Release the sinking ships to swim freely. Courageously look forward, spread our wings, and soar. This is my prayer for all of us in 2023. Happy New Year to my friends here. We have a community reaction, 7 likes, shared wishes for brighter days in 2023 and beyond. After enduring deep despair and betrayal, we deserve the best, seeking joy and light in our lives. Cheaters just don't fit with joy and light. They belong in the past. Second story, I've been married for 16 and 1/12 years to my 21-year-old wife, and we've had our share of ups and downs. When I first met her, she was the nicest and kindest woman I'd ever encountered. Strangely enough, I told her she would be my wife just 2 minutes after meeting her. Our 2 kids mean the world to me. However, after our second child, she became distant, depressed, and changed. I assumed it was depression, but she refused to explore it and suggested couples counseling. During the recession, when money was tight, I was working 4 jobs and a side business just to make it another month. Affording counseling was challenging, especially when she wouldn't communicate. She'd have good and bad weeks, sometimes being great and other times mean and disrespectful. Eventually, when things stabilized, I urged her to go to counseling with me. Reluctantly, she agreed, but I don't think she enjoyed it. The counselor, however, echoed what I had been saying. I can't fix what I don't know. She requested more help around the house, which I provided. Since 2015, I've worked 3 jobs, managed household chores, and things improved for a while. Yet she became mean again, often snapping at our daughter. Concerned about the impact on our child, I told her I'd never divorce her, committed to making our marriage better for as long as it took. However, I think because my daughter is so much like me, she was taking her anger out on her, and I can't allow that. So if she wanted a divorce, that's what we'd do. The next day, she said she wanted to try and make it work. For a few years, things were good. She even went to a doctor and got prescribed antidepressants but insisted on the lowest dose. Fast forward to 2020, and she went right back to being mean and disrespectful. Worse, there was total disdain in her voice whenever she spoke to me and a look of disgust whenever I showed up somewhere. It hurt. Closeness was never a problem with us, and we both seemed to enjoy each other, but when she'd get in those moods, she'd withhold. Still, I remained faithful, even though, as a bartender, I had many offers. At one point, my sister assumed I had been cheating, because she knew my wife wasn't close for so long. I told her I'd never do that, so now we're here. Last month, after a wedding, we were at a hotel, and I was hoping to fool around when she told me flat out, I don't want you. I think we should get divorced. We agreed to do it, but hold off until after the holidays for the kids. She fell asleep 10 minutes later. I laid in bed with tears pouring down my face for 3 hours. I thought it was going to be the most pain I'd ever felt. Then there's today. A week ago, she had to go to a party for my daughter's softball team. At midnight, she wasn't home, so I checked our Life 360 app and she was at an Applebee's. Weird, but I thought she met her friend for a drink after. Thing is, she was there till 1, but they closed at 12. I asked where she went, and she said some bar with the people from the party, never said Applebee's, which was strange. 2 days later, she said her boss told her she had to put a password on her phone because of work emails. Now I was suspicious. Today, her mom called and asked if I could help her husband move a rug, so I went to help. When I was done, I stood outside and looked on the Life 360 app to see if she had left work. She had, so I decided to try something. My wife has a bad habit of needing to talk on the phone when she drives, so I called her. She was short and said she had to go because she was talking to her mom who was standing right in front of me. Okay. I went home. When she got there, I asked how her mom was and if she had told her I had seen her today. She said she hadn't, and asked where I saw her. I said, at her house when I called you. Her face dropped. She attempted to give some weak excuses, but eventually confessed that she had been seeing someone for a few months, so before we decided to get a divorce. I was completely shocked. 10 minutes later, she acted as if nothing had happened. I'm not sure whether it was to avoid tipping off the kids or simply because she didn't care that she hurt me, but I suspect the latter. I couldn't talk to anyone about it because we've kept our decision to divorce a secret so my kids didn't catch wind of anything. And we had to attend the Christmas village tonight, so we were out all night. My kids sensed that something was wrong with me, but they just thought I was in a bad mood. My son even said, "You sound hurt," I'm unsure about what I'm going to do. The idea of divorce was already incredibly stressful, and I unintentionally lost 20 lbs in the past month. I need to figure out how to go through this without losing my house. Over the last 15 years, I've been paying off her $110,000 in credit card debt, $15,000 in student loans, and a $44,000 car. Now, I might owe her at least $40,000 for the house. It's going to be painful, but I believe I can handle it. I was finally starting to mentally prepare for the divorce, and then this betrayal hit me like a ton of bricks. In the last month, she's hurt me more than I ever thought possible. I don't even recognize the woman I married anymore. I don't know what to do. My daughter is going to be heartbroken when we tell her we're splitting up, but I'm unsure if I should tell her about this because I don't want her to hate her mom. I'm lost, confused, stressed beyond belief, and heartbroken. When I look at my wife, she seems like she couldn't care less. Update, still not finished as expected, considering it's only been a few months. A week after my post, I discovered the guy's name while she was sending a Facebook message on her computer. Evidently, that's their only way of communicating, most likely because he's married with 3 kids. He's also a doctor and wealthy. That one really hit hard for a guy working 3 jobs to make ends meet. On Christmas, I found out she had informed her entire family, along with my sister and my cousin's wife, that we were divorcing. Meanwhile, I hadn't told anyone yet. Fearing it might get back to my kids before the holidays were over, her mom wasn't happy, thinking she was making the biggest mistake of her life. The same went for my sister and her best friend. She didn't care. She also omitted the part about her cheating, of course. I couldn't talk to her mom at Christmas because she was already starting to cry, and I didn't want to alert my kids, so I arranged to talk to her a few days later. The next day, my wife and I had a conversation. I told her I didn't want her seeing the guy until everything was settled. It was disrespectful. And if she wanted a divorce as friends, she shouldn't treat a friend like that. She agreed. Then we discussed how to divide things. I think I did okay. No alimony, no child support, 50-50th custody. We both provide clothes for the kids, and everything else is split equally. I'm keeping the house, but I have to pay her $43,000 in equity. In the end, she walked away with about $40,000. She owes her dad $10,000, has an 800 credit score, and 0 debt, all thanks to me. When I finally spoke to her mom, I found out that when she learned we were going to talk, she came clean to her. Initially, she lied about cheating when her mom asked, then confessed. My mother-in-law was furious, really laid into her, and then cried to me that she was scared I was going to cut her out of my life, which I assured her would never happen. Fast forward to mid-January. Now I've lost 40 lbs. I hit the gym every day to relieve stress. Now we have to break the news to my kids. I told her I wouldn't lie to my kids, but I wasn't going to just expose her either. I said if they asked, I'd try to guide the conversation a different way. She said she felt the same way. The thing is, I knew my daughter wouldn't buy into it. She's like a 14-year-old clone of me. She can spot BS a mile away. And that's exactly what happened. Before we even said anything, my daughter asked if we were getting divorced. When we sat them down, my wife said yes, and my kids lost it. Lots of crying. I saw them crying, and I started crying. Then my wife made a big mistake. She said, "Listen, we both want this." That's when my daughter let her have it with everything she had. She yelled, "That's BS. My father would never want this." "You want this? Look at him, he's crying. I've never seen him cry in my life. This is you." Then she asked if my wife was cheating on me. My wife tried to change the subject, but she wasn't having it. She grilled her while screaming, "Tell me the truth," over and over, until my wife confessed. After that, it was like I could see her brain working. She started pointing out every red flag and made my wife confess to it. In 3 minutes, she got more out of her than I did in a month. Later, I had a one-on-one talk with my kids. My 12-year-old son just needed reassurance that things would be okay and that we'd change as little as possible. He's dreading when everything finally concludes. My daughter shared that she was crying for me, not herself, because of how hurt I had to be. I comforted her and made her feel better. Then she asked me to make her a promise. Since I've never broken a promise to my kids, she requested me to promise that if, after all of this is over, my wife loses her new house and needs a place to stay for a while, I would let her stay here. Despite everything going on, she looked out for her mom. I couldn't refuse. When she talked to her mom, she asked her to promise to stop talking to the guy. However, she broke that promise after 2 weeks. Since then, she's been sneaking around and seeing him for short periods at places like Target. We had a major argument. And again, she agreed to stop seeing him, even though she still talks to him. Apparently, she has developed feelings for him now. As I said, my daughter can't be fooled, so she'll eventually realize her mom broke that promise. There's no need for me to tell her right now. Currently, I'm in the process of refinancing my house, and she's searching for a house of her own with her rich aunt co-signing for her. Hopefully, she'll find something soon. Also, one more thing, and I know this might be controversial. Yes, I have evidence, and yes, I know everything about this guy now, but I've decided not to tell his wife. I'm not proud to admit it, but my motives are entirely selfish and self-serving. The fact is, if I tell her, they might get divorced, and then, when my wife leaves, she has an already made relationship waiting for her. A wealthy guy who, even after divorce, will still be rich, taking her on expensive dates, nice vacations, and helping with her bills. Meanwhile, I'll be struggling. As much as I want to hurt this guy, I want to hurt her more. When she leaves, her sneaking around is over, but his isn't. They won't be able to go on dates, and she'll see how much of a side piece she really is. They'll only be able to meet at her house, and he'll have to leave as soon as he's finished. He won't be giving her any money because it could tip off his wife. Now that she has feelings for him, she'll see if he's willing to leave his wife and family for her. I'm betting he won't, but if he does, fine. He'll have to be the one to have the courage to do it. I'm not going to do his dirty work for him. That's what happened with her rich aunt. She had an affair with a married man. The wife found out and left, and she moved right in, going from a broke single mom to a millionaire. That might happen with my wife, but I'm not going to help make it happen. Update: I assured my kids that I'd keep their lives as stable as possible, and I've stuck to that. In August, we finalized the divorce. While still here, she searched for houses but got outbid 16 times. I discovered a house nearby she liked, spoke to the owner, and he let her have it without other bids. It feels good knowing my kids are just 30 seconds away. The divorce agreement was a win for me. No alimony, no child support, 50/50 custody. I kept the house and paid her the equity, and I was able to refi before interest rates skyrocketed. Over the next few months, I refurnished my house, focused on my kids, and stayed positive. I continued going to the gym and working. It's been good. I've been friendly with her throughout, which put my kids at ease and helped them get used to everything. She even joined us for Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve at my sister's. People might think I'm crazy, but letting go of ill will and helping my kids celebrate the holidays normally makes me happy. Financially, I'm doing great. I'm unsure about her situation. She wasn't great at budgeting. We're supposed to split costs for the kids, but I end up covering more, which is fine. In December, I met a wonderful woman who lives an hour away. Divorced with 2 kids, due to the custody schedule, we see each other a few times a month, but she makes me happy. I don't know about my ex's dating life, or if she's still seeing the guy. I know she's been with others, but I don't ask. One night, she went out and got jumped, which, I won't lie, made me laugh. As for the guy she cheated with, I've told some mutual friends. One couple I'm friends with saw him with his family at a function and started having a conversation in front of them where they mentioned my name and that I knew about the affair. They said I knew who the guy was but hadn't done anything yet. Then they started saying stuff like, "Man, if he decides to go after him, they won't find that guy's body for 50 years. And crap like that, just laughing and watching him sweat without letting on they knew it was him. I don't think my ex ever told him I knew about the affair, so that was probably a nice surprise for him. I'm sure I'll run into him eventually, not sure how that will play out, but I'm not going out and seeking it. So, 16 months after D-Day, I have a new girlfriend, a great relationship with my kids, and a happy work life. Physically, I'm in great shape, and financially, I'm doing well. It couldn't have worked out better for me. For those going through it, stay positive. Don't let resentment take over. Work out a deal without lawyers if money is tight. Maintain an amicable relationship for your kids. Exercise to de-stress, and remember, every situation is different. Find the path that works for your situation. They're gone and likely not coming back. For your best interest, trust is gone, so move on and find someone who deserves you. If you don't meet people often, try a dating app like Bumble. They work. Third story. My 37-year-old wife and I, a 38-year-old man, have been married for 13 years, but she had an affair for the past 2 years. I discovered this last week, the night before my grandmother's funeral. I never imagined my wife could deceive me like this, and it's breaking my heart. The husband of my wife's affair partner contacted me on Facebook Messenger to disclose the affair. I was 2 hours away, in another state, for the funeral, so I held myself together until after the funeral, and then drove home to confront my wife. I sensed that things between us weren't good in early 2021. I noticed a change in my wife's behavior and attitude, which I initially attributed to untreated depression following our dog's passing away in July 2020. She became less loving, we fought more, and she stopped helping around the house. She occasionally used hurtful language during arguments, creating a negative atmosphere at home. I only found relief when she was away for work. Frustrated and unhappy, I began considering leaving her around November 2021, feeling taken advantage of for all the responsibilities I shouldered in our home. Despite not having children, I worked full-time and managed 85% of the household chores. Her main tasks when not traveling for work were playing with our dogs and doing her own laundry, while I handled the rest. During this time, my wife experienced strange physical pains and ailments. Initially, she thought she had a heart attack but discovered it was a panic attack. These pains reappeared in different areas, including headaches, stomach aches, and rashes. Despite doctor clearance after tests, the pain would resurface in new forms. I suggested therapy for potential anxiety, depression, and hypochondria, but she refused, convinced she was dying of cancer, creating daily frustration. When the affair partner's husband contacted me, I realized my wife's supposed illnesses were likely a response to the guilt and stress from the affair. She carried on this affair for 2 years, having closeness during work trips and coordinating meetings at hotels. This happened twice, once paid for by her and once by my wife on a credit card I couldn't access. They communicated through a fake Facebook Messenger account, exchanging explicit photos and sometimes having a cyber relationship. After confronting her about the affair, my wife admitted to additional medical tests due to fears of contracting an STD unknown to me. Our attachment declined since 2021 as she feared transmitting something to me. I'm devastated, not only by the affair but also by how she treated me during these 2 years. I feel betrayed and taken advantage of for maintaining our home while working. Although we moved states around May this year, no longer living near the woman, they remained in contact. They met in early December during her work trip to our new area. My wife claims they only talked in the car, refusing a hotel, and her story aligns with his. I'm incredibly upset and hurt, crying every day and struggling to eat. This morning, I scheduled an appointment next week to see a therapist and a divorce attorney consultation in the upcoming weeks. My wife is saying sorry, claiming she'll do anything to keep me and be a better spouse. She's been shedding tears, using the typical lines you often hear when someone gets caught. Although she insists I'm not to blame, she can't provide a reason for the affair. I find it challenging to overcome not only the lying and deception, but also how I was mistreated for nearly 2 years. 6 months ago, I suggested marriage counseling, and she responded by telling me I needed therapy. Fortunately, I have the support of my family and some close, trusted friends. However, I live thousands of miles away from everyone, so I feel alone in this. We recently bought our home last year when we moved, and I'm uncertain about the cost of getting out of this mortgage. Due to my grandmother's passing, I am set to inherit a decent amount of money, slightly more than my annual income, in about 6 to 8 weeks when we finalize her accounts. I won't be putting this money in any account with her name or access. I plan to inform the attorney I'm consulting with about this financial aspect. Over the last 2 years, I feel like I've been worn down, and this affair has now completely shattered me. While I believe I can handle this on my own, I've spent 15 years with this person who is supposed to be my best friend. I've prioritized her career over mine, relocating across the country for her. I'm scared of making the wrong decision, but my gut feeling tells me to leave this deceitful person.